Good morning. It's the 24th of April. It's 8:30, 8:45. Been hiking for, I don't know, hour or two now. I guess it got going about 6:40, something like that. Much earlier than any other day this week, but not quite as early as I thought. You know, once again, I had fantasized that I was going to be able to get 10 miles by 10 a.m. and I don't think that's in the cards by any means. So I may not be able to make it to Penmar here before I have to get home. I need to be able to arrange a rendezvous with my kids to have them come and pick me up, sort of whatever. So maybe I'll stop at some parking area, you know, several miles shy of that. Today is shaping up to be in the 80s, like mid 80s. Yeah. I actually don't like hiking in temperatures, you know, that are that high. Yeah. I like things that are a little, you know, cooler. But air's very still, listening to the birds. Saw a pileated woodpecker here just a few minutes back, flying very low to the ground, very sort of unusual. But I enjoy this part of Maryland. Maryland's such a beautiful state on the AT, and it's sort of very cruisy, and there's a lot of history here, Civil War battlefields, that kind of thing. Monuments. I just went by the Washington Monument, which is the oldest monument to George Washington in America. It doesn't look like the obelisk down on the mall in DC. It just is sort of like this round stone tower, but it is a monument to George Washington and predates the obelisk. Anyway, enjoying this. Hope you're enjoying your day. So yesterday, when I was hiking a little bit with Lawrence, before we parted ways, I found out he was a lawyer. And I was telling him about my first experience on the Appalachian Trail, way down south. I did the southern 450 miles in 1978. And in that year, the Appalachian Trail was getting kicked off of private property left and right. They had all these relocations that they called them. And in those days, I mean, let's say 30-40% of the Appalachian Trail was running through private property. And wending its way through Congress was a bill. I don't know if it had become law at that point or not, or if it was still just, you know, pending legislation to give the Appalachian Trail Conference a right of eminent domain for the corridor of the Appalachian Trail, which meant that they could designate a right for hikers to go through private property. Compensated, of course, but this freaked out so many landowners that in preparation for the enactment or the enforcement of this law, left and right, the trail was getting kicked off of private property. And you know, he's a lawyer. He understands all of this stuff. And I remember telling him, yeah, there are places where the Appalachian Trail basically goes through or right next to someone's house, and it's a designated corridor. So let me just give you an example here where I won't blind you with the light. So I actually had in mind, and I had forgotten that it was right here, this particular area in which, let's see if I can point it there, but it's you can see where it says trail right on that tree, and it goes right by, and then in back of these houses. I remember because I've done this section, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, something like that. But it's sort of an interesting history and an interesting aspect of the ATC, that in order to maintain it, to maintain the Appalachian Trail, the ATC needs to negotiate with landowners, acquire property, acquire the rights for the corridor for hikers to be able to go through. in order to, you know, connect the dots, shall we say. So interesting bit of, and this is not the only place on the AT that is like this, but very interesting aspect of the AT. Yeah, just people's yards right on either side. Coming right up to the highway here, and then we're going to be making a left turn right here. Back in 1978, there were far fewer bridges across highways. These sort of purpose-built pedestrian walkways really did not exist over the freeways. You had to go over a viaduct with a highway. Many bridges have been built over rivers. I remember down south in '78 having to ford many relatively large rivers, and these days, you know, they've built bridges, footpaths. Well, the AT is a wilderness trail, to be sure, but it goes through varied countryside too, and we've just come to one of these. Crossing this meadow, you see right over there, there's a post with a white paint blaze on it, so looks like we're going to swing around there. I do love to see these the farms and just the rural life. That's an integral part of this region as well. I'm glad the AT gets routed through some of these areas too. As you can see, I'm not wearing my hiking gear right now. I got picked up, nice woodpecker there in my backyard. I'm in Northern Virginia now. Got picked up by my son. I got quite a number of miles in. I'm gonna have to look it up. I want to say it was like 18 miles by 4:30 in the afternoon. So I was making good progress in spite of the heat. Gonna have a medical appointment here coming up, and based on the results of that, I hope to get out on the trail again soon.